Getting beat up by 9 guys in Syracuse, to me, there's not a whole lot of shame.
Welcome to the Heel to the Face podcast.
And this right here,
with your hosts, Jared Wicks, Brandon Icebreaker Clements, and Paul Boy Green Esden.
It doesn't matter what your name is. And that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold
I have received an email.
Don't forget to email the show at heeltotheface@hotmail.com.
Best there is, the best there was, or the best there ever will be.
Brett screwed Brett because it's what's best for business.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man. The champ is here. Oh yeah, new Day Rock. And if you're not down with that, we got 2 more for ya.
Tweet us using the handle @HeelToTheFace.
Let's get ready to suck it.
The bell is rung, so let's step in the ring with your hosts, Paul, Brandon, and Jared.
I might as well tag me up with my buddies from Syracuse.
Heel the Face podcast is on the air for the last week / first week of December 2017. We are live in Syracuse, New York. We're joined this week with Brandon the Icebreaker Clements, Paul Boy Green Esden, once again for I think like a third week in a row. Can't join us because he's just off to some bigger and better things as we speak. Hopefully we can get him on the show. Maybe those bigger and better things mean bigger and better things for us coming down the line.
Yeah,
he has got some connections going on right now.
Yeah, he's doing good.
He's doing pretty good for himself. So it's just me and Brandon, myself, Jared, just Jared Wicks. Don't forget to follow the program on Twitter, as always, @HeelToTheFace. You can find us on YouTube, on Twitter, and those are the places you will find our podcast. On Twitter is where you'll find our Twitter question of the week, as well as our personal tweets of the week and anything else we want to throw out at there. And let me just start by saying, since this podcast started, I think about 1 year ago, we started last January.
Yes,
This is up there as one of the lamest weeks in professional wrestling.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Here's the thing. It's like when the Shield, like when they announce, Dean Ambrose is on his honeymoon. It's like, there's like, what's really going on this week? So, I mean, what was the highlight of the night? I mean, there wasn't many great matches.
We saw more of the women.
Yeah, yes, I will. Oh, actually, we'll get to my, it's kind of a teaser for Tweet of the Week later. But what's with Ruby Riott changing her name? Now it's 2 T's now? Did they mess something up? What's going on?
I've seen some things on Twitter. I've seen some kind of jokes and some parodies about it. The fact that they meant to have it as 2 T's and they just, or meant to have it as 1 T and then put it out there that it was 2 T's and then we're like just kind of go with it.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this: what do you think is the most exciting stuff going on right now? To me, I think it's the women's division right now. It's the most exciting product going on right now.
Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn is going pretty good right now as well. The feud right now, Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan is doing all right. Let's start things off. Let's forget Raw and SmackDown. I want to go back to Starrcade this past week. Now, it's a question that kind of always invokes me. What makes something an event and what makes something a house show? Because this one, I want to know what makes this an event. What makes Starrcade? What made this something? What made this not just a house show?
I think what they're trying to sell it as. I mean, they kind of spoke about it on. I think it was on SmackDown. I think what's it, Phillips? Tom Phillips. Yeah, Tom Phillips. He mentioned something. He's like, "This is why you need to go to live events." Like, I think it's their way of trying to sell, because you never know what's going to happen there.
Is this going to be the start of them maybe hyping up live events that maybe like some markets that aren't doing so well? This is a way to maybe hype up some of those markets and be like, hey, this isn't just the WWE coming to your neighborhood. This is the Royal Rumble. I know they kind of do that already with the SummerSlam tour and the WrestleMania Revenge, but they don't really have the marquee matches kind of hyped up like this Starrcade.
Well, you get Ricky the Dragon Steamboat there. You get Arn Anderson there.
I guess that's what could kind of make it, you know. But Arn Anderson isn't a huge deal, and you could actually advertise him or have him show up as a surprise at a lot of house shows because he's part of the crew. They didn't pay money to bring him in.
No, he's
part of the backstage crew. A friend of mine actually worked a security event about 2 months ago when they were having a Monday Night House show, SmackDown House show in Elmira, New York, and he was back there. So essentially, they could have thrown him out there. They could be like, forget watching Monday Night Raw, put that on the DVR.
Absolutely.
Come out to Elmira, New York, and watch this house show, and you'll see Arn Anderson because he was there.
He's a
legend. He was
legend.
like a suit and tie, doing business things. You know, he wasn't like as a person, a wrestler.
You could see
So they
guys
could've
like
thrown
that,
him out there.
or Finley. You know, Finley's always there.
Finley's always there.
He's
I mean,
like on Monday Night Raw, like when you see like the attacks, like in the back or
Jamie
anywhere.
Noble and Mercury are always coming out. You know,
You just get J&J security back.
exactly.
You know?
So
I love that.
What really makes this a difference, and what really kind of, it's twofold. So if you notice on Twitter, if you notice on Instagram, you notice even on WWE.com, they really hyped up WWE.com and WWE's official sites really hyped up that women's match between Charlotte and Natalya. The fact that it was, Flair came out, introduced Charlotte, and that made it feel like an event. But what made it feel like a house show is the one match they kind of glossed over was AJ Styles versus Jinder Mahal, because, we forgot, we can't really be telling you we're having that match because we're on television hyping up that the only and the next time they meet will be a Clash of Champions, and that AJ Styles and Jinder Mahal's only encounters since then, AJ Styles took on Brock Lesnar, and since then he's just been sitting home preparing for Jinder Mahal. Not like he actually had a one-on-one steel cage, no interference match with Jinder Mahal this past week, and AJ Styles won cleanly over Jinder Mahal. We're going to pretend that didn't happen. Jinder Mahal, if you notice, in his hype up for AJ Styles, says, I'm going to beat AJ Styles the next time I beat him. Didn't kind of just mention, he just lost to AJ Styles one-on-one.
And that's
cleanly.
the thing I don't get.
So that's where Starrcade is like Charlotte versus Natalya Flair. Like, that's a live event thing. Like, we're showing you the highlights of that on WWE's official Twitter. We're showing you the highlights of that on their, that was hyped up
WWE.com
as, like,
exclusive.
like they were, but they didn't show us any highlights of AJ Styles versus Jinder Mahal because, that didn't happen.
Oh, wait, that's kind of, we're building it up for something else a little
that
bit
didn't
later.
happen. So some of the stuff happened. Some of the stuff is like the MSG stuff where they have a championship at a house show change hands, and they have to show us that stuff because the championship change hand.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff is like, that didn't happen because that guy didn't debut on television yet. So quote unquote, he didn't debut at all.
Do you think that's what it is? Do you think it's just they're just hyping? They're trying to. I think to me,
it was confusing because they gave this like 6 months notice. So how could you in 6 months time not make this a network exclusive?
I agree. Here's the thing. The thing that I'm wondering, maybe you can jump into this more because you go to more live events than I do. Do you think it's because of the non-SmackDown, non-Raw, just like when they come to Syracuse, so to speak, it's just hey, come see Roman Reigns take on Bray Wyatt or something random. Do you think it's because they're trying to put some more juice into these live events? Because I think attendance might be down. Am I wrong? Because last time I went to a live event, it wasn't
at live events. Attendance at a television show and live events, I think, is down right across the board. I don't really know about pay-per-views. I think pay-per-views are still doing okay.
Yeah.
But attendance at all live events, whether it be a house show or a television event, are down. I want to say non-TV shows are down a lot more, and I don't know if that has to do with the markets they're going into. Or, Well,
Syracuse for one. Every time I've gone to a live show, I've never seen the place full.
I've never been to a house show, period, where the place is full. Except for, some of these markets, maybe like a Madison Square Garden. I've never been to a Madison Square Garden house show, but I've seen the highlights of people being there, and they're pretty full, or a Staples Center. So it's not maybe so much of it's a TV event or a house show. I think it's the market. I think if you're going to Madison Square Garden, you're going to get a good crowd regardless.
Oh, yeah, that just because of the location. That's
and it might be
thing.
because you have a large contingent of people to draw from versus, Syracuse, if they hosted Monday Night Raw, might be getting that same crowd.
Let me ask you this.
I do think, though, television, and this kind of, before you get to that point, I do think, though, television, though, has the advantage that house shows don't have in being able to draw more because they draw people from out of the area. Meaning, if Raw came to Syracuse, you're going to get people from Rochester, Buffalo, Albany,
Watertown.
Watertown. Come to that show that wouldn't necessarily come to that show if it was a live event because after they're in Syracuse, they're in Rochester and Buffalo. If I live... Let's say there's house shows that come to Albany all the time. I've been to none of those. There's house shows that come to Buffalo all the time. I've been to none of those. But when Buffalo hosts them on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, then I go.
Yeah, I've gone.
It's just fun. The same as the people who go to preseason games, preseason Buffalo Bills games, or a preseason New York Rangers hockey game. Don't necessarily do the 4 hours of traveling to get there. But when the regular season games, there'll be people at the Knicks game that are from Syracuse, that are from Binghamton, or from Albany. Because they're regular season and they count and they're worth the trip.
I'll make the trip to Buffalo for Albany for a live show for a television show. Absolutely.
That's why television has the advantage of being able to maybe draw better because of that.
Why couldn't? I know we're really nitpicking on it, but why couldn't they make Starrcade kind of like almost like not like tribute to troops, maybe like remember how they used to do like Saturday Night Main Event, something like that. Make it a special.
Yeah,
that's what I would have done.
Saying that this had to be a pay-per-view. Nobody said they had to move.
Just make it a special.
They've had so many things be specials. They had that midnight Brock Lesnar in Japan thing be a special before.
Yeah.
You know, they've had just a ton of things be specials. So, and this is what you have the network to do.
Do it
So
that
if
way.
you
Exclusive.
don't do this,
get paper, get network buys.
if you have a network and you didn't do this, then it makes me question and pretty much lead off this whole show with, well, why? What makes this not a house show? What makes this Starrcade?
Exactly.
And, you know, that's probably the worst part to me. This isn't just like it was, you know, a good, hyped-up house show. They used the Starrcade name, and essentially, if you're a historian, if you're a wrestling buff, if you're somebody who likes to look at the sport and the tradition end of this goes down in the history of Starrcade. This is like, if you go to Starrcade's Wikipedia page and has all the years, this was a Starrcade. So WCW is essentially WrestleMania, biggest event in their history. You didn't even put on television. And this is where I think WWE drops the ball a ton, because I felt probably going back to 2002, like, hey, how come you don't use these WCW events as maybe more pay-per-views? Because you're giving us these garbage pay-per-views. And the house show example, that's a perfect example. You put Starrcade on it, and all of a sudden this house show got hype. So why don't you put Starrcade on Fastlane and that gets hype, or Starrcade on Elimination Chamber, or Starrcade on any one of these other? I don't understand. Like Halloween Havoc, you just make that an October in your house pay-per-view. You know, the ones you already have, the Vengeances and the Fastlanes and the No Mercies. You just call it Halloween Havoc, and you already have people interested. The same way you just took a house show and called it Starrcade, and you have people interested. People weren't like, I'm going to a house show. They're like, I'm going to Starrcade.
Too bad they won't do Bash at the Beach. You know, that would be cool.
Yeah,
Something like that would be sick.
You don't even have to do the great things about them, like put them on the beach. You just have to put the names, and people have the history.
Yeah, throw
For
the name
example,
on
I
it.
have WrestleMania tickets. That could be a WWE TLC card. The main event could be Asuka versus some woman they pull up from NXT. I'm already going. I already bought it because I'm buying the name.
Yeah.
I'm buying the name. So the reason why people bought tickets to go see Starrcade was because they were buying the name. If it wasn't Starrcade, that house show would have looked like every other house show. It would have been a half full
place,
bunch of kids in attendance that want to see John Cena in person versus adults. So I think that's the big thing, and I don't understand why WWE doesn't realize that. They realize that if you put Starrcade on a house show, you're going to get people to come, but they don't realize that if you put Halloween Havoc on a pay-per-view versus Clash of Champions or Fastlane or one of these other garbage, they had the Bash back in the day, like any of these other garbage in your house pay-per-view ideas, why don't you give them the WCW names and like kind of go off that lineage? I went to a Great American Bash. I want to say it was the second or third Great American Bash many years ago. And part of the package that led up to that Great American Bash was just a crappy SmackDown pay-per-view. But on the package that led up to that pay-per-view, they were showing like the history. Like this was like had to hold up to the history of Great American Bash. Like this pay-per-view
It's hype.
lineage.
It gives you hyped up.
Yeah, you're like, I forgot that this was just JBL versus Batista and a regular SmackDown No Way Out pay-per-view. You gave it Great American Bash as its name, so it kind of gave it like a history and importance. The same reason why the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl. It's really the Ravens versus the 49ers. The same matchup you got in Week 8 or Week 9 or Week 10.
People don't care about the teams. They just want to go for the event.
Yeah, it's the same thing, and I don't understand why WWE doesn't understand that. And they do understand it where they put it on a house show and get this crowd, but don't understand it like, well, why didn't you make Starrcade? Like, for example, why wasn't this house show called Clash of Champions and this upcoming pay-per-view called Starrcade? Because Starrcade was always in December and late November, so it would have been perfect. And it would have been perfect to bring back and now be an annual thing. And I bet you it's hard to really judge buys because of the fact that there's the network, but I think it would have been a more watched event than it is going to be if Clash of Champions was called Starrcade. That's all. Just call it Starrcade.
Yeah, just put the name on it and that's it. It'll sell itself.
People would have been like, I'm not even going to watch Survivor Series. I'm getting more hyped for Starrcade.
I'll watch that because it's a classic. It has a classic name and people are like, all right, this is probably
the same
gonna be
reason
cool.
why when they said Starrcade was coming out, and I thought it was going to be a network event.
That's what I would have thought.
I was like hyped more than I was for Survivor Series. I was like, man, I don't even know if I'm going to waste time with Survivor Series. When's Starrcade coming? I'm going to watch that.
But they dropped the ball.
They dropped the ball.
Simply put, they dropped the ball. Why the hell make it a live event? I mean, the only logical reason is maybe to get more people interested in a live event. I mean, why would you have Tom Phillips bring it up anyways, where he said, oh, yeah, this is why you need to go see WWE live. You know, it's like, that's the only logical reason why they would do it. But for me, it could even, I wanted the pay-per-view out of it. Make it a pay-per-view. At the very worst, you make it a special on the network.
There were cameras there, I'm told, so that we could have like the footage and stuff.
But it's still, to me, it's still a live event. We just threw the name on it.
Yeah,
that's what it really is.
With the tribute to the troops, they put that on television. That's really just a bunch of matches that they film after Raw is over.
which is fine. I mean, I'd rather, even if they package it as a special, I'm still gonna probably watch it.
I mean,
To me,
they don't know how to. It's easy to package things, and I just feel like they drop the ball out when it comes to packaging things. I don't know if what's with. Let's get to the current television, the WWE that is supposed to quote unquote only exist because we're not supposed to acknowledge house shows. Those are just for the live audience only. Those didn't happen. Roman Reigns, he was on Monday Night Raw last week and won the IC title. And this past week on Monday Night Raw, he hasn't made any appearances since then or done anything, but literally just went from Raw to Raw. And why does it seem like a lot of people are behind him as IC champion?
I don't know. That's what I'm.
This is really strange. Like he wasn't getting booed, and I don't understand why.
I think it has to do with the Shield. That's what I think. I think this has something to do with the Shield. That's where I'm thinking because it's. I mean, look at the timing. The Shields have not been together that long. They haven't been back together that long. So I think people are getting behind him again. But I will not to your point about the to the match itself. I thought it was a good match. I really like Elias. I think his stock is moving up. I think it was cool. I personally like where Elias brought in the Miz Taraj is like his I don't know if it's a one night thing. Hopefully maybe he keeps him around for a little bit. I thought it was cool that they did that because I think Elias is going to be a future champion. The guy's got the whole package. He's got a great gimmick. I think he's doing a great job. So I mean, of Raw, that to me was probably the highlight of the night. I mean, Seth Rollins, Cesaro, that
wasn't the highlight of the night. Matt Hardy acknowledging it looks like he's going to be broken once again.
We'll see. I mean,
Anthem apparently has waved the white flag. They're not going to pursue anything. They're going to let him do what he wants. Now, whether WWE is going to take that exact gimmick, I've heard they're going to try to do like an off of that gimmick, but that's where it's going. I think they got the word that Anthem didn't care anymore, wasn't going to pursue anything legally.
I'm curious to see. I mean, I think he's just planting the seeds right now. At the end of the match, I think the seeds are starting to get planted. So I mean, that was interesting. But the match with the match itself that he had, I didn't think that was that good anyway.
What's the deal? Why is this broken gimmick so popular? I kind of get why it was popular at the time because at the time it was what it was. But now we are so far removed that I think I just want to get a good Matt Hardy. I don't care how you package him. You can package him like Matt Hardy.
I feel like the broken thing's lost its luster for me.
I mean, it's been like a year.
Yeah, it's
almost
been too long. It's
yeah.
If he would have he would have just came right in right away back to WWE and he had the gimmick. I think it would have had more to it. But obviously the legality.
But I think now that it just seems so forced.
Yeah, I don't.
You know what I mean?
I'm curious to see what they do with it. See how he does.
This would be like if Kane didn't have it, had his mask in TNA, then came in WWE and didn't have a mask for 8 months. People are like, they need to put that mask on him. It's like, well, yeah, but it's too late now. He's already had the mask off. Like going back and putting the mask on him, that takes away from like.
Speaking of Kane, I mean, I know we've talked about this on different parts of this area. I know like
mayoral candidate Glenn Jacobs is what we're talking about.
No, it's the pyro and stuff. To me, Kane is not Kane without the pyro. I'm sorry. I don't.
Brock Lesnar's not Brock Lesnar. I mean, Brock Lesnar's Brock Lesnar. But without the pyro, I mean, even AJ Styles. I mean,
I want to see the fireworks, baby. That's what I want to see.
Why can't the entrances for the superstars themselves? I don't understand this whole pyro thing, and it seems like Pyrogate. We talk about it every single week. That's this podcast, folks. If you want to just hear all about pyro, we'll make sure to mention pyro every single week.
Pyro.
We are fighting the good fight when it comes to bringing WWE back pyro. They might talk about those indie shows and the Kenny Omegas of the world and the stuff the real wrestling fans care about. But if you're just interested in hearing about bringing back pyro, heel to the face is where to turn because we will not give up the fight. But we will not let it go.
Wrestling fans want to know though. Wrestling fans tweet us, at Heel to the Face on Twitter and let us know. Like, do you guys notice as much as, I know I do and Jared does too.
I wouldn't notice if they scaled it down, but just get rid of it entirely. Makes it very noticeable.
I would say make it for select superstars only. Don't make it for everybody.
That's what they kind of did. You know what I mean?
Everybody seemed like
not everybody had pyro.
Just about, I felt like. They had something.
You don't need pyro. First off, maybe what would have been if you just made half the opening pyro, like got rid of the opening pyro, well, not got rid of it, but made half of it, and then maybe had it once or twice during the show for select superstars.
Well, I miss when Kane
goes over budget.
Well, why can't they have when Kane would just he'd drop his hands and the flames would come up on each ring post.
That's part of the reason. Going back to the house show thing, that's part of the reason that makes a difference between a TV show and a house show is the pyro.
Absolutely, it's more fun.
Yeah,
it's more fun at least. Am I looking at it the wrong way? I mean, that's how I look at it.
On the network, a lot of times I go back and I watch old Monday Night Raws and old SmackDowns and old pay-per-views. I mean, and they had pyro that made the recent pyro the WWE had look ridiculous in the sense of they went above, like a Monday Night Raw pyro in like 2001 was equivalent to WrestleMania pyro now.
Yeah,
it was just
true.
So I'm not saying that you have to like have it all, but you could have scaled it down a little bit. Why do you have to go all in? Why can't you experiment, WWE? Why can't you say, yeah, pyro budget's getting a little, let's scale back on the pyro? Why'd they just have to drop it entirely?
That's
Part of the show. I mean,
yeah.
WWE is always selling to everybody that we're part rock concert, part sporting event. Well, they're kind of getting rid of that when they lose the pyro.
Speaking of fireworks, I don't know if we can call it really fireworks, I guess, but what did you think of the Hype Bros breaking up? I mean, are we going to make much of it? I mean, I know we're not the biggest fans of Hype Bros on the Heel of the Face podcast, but I like what they did. I mean, not to mention I like the match because the Bludgeon Brothers just destroyed them. I think the Bludgeon Brothers are going to, I mean, I said this last week on the show, I think they're going to be tag team champions. I mean, aside from the attire, we've talked about that, but I think the Bludgeon Brothers are looking really good right now, and I like what they're doing. Aside from the attire, I think they're going to be a contender shortly here. I know they're building them up. I see them being a champion, sooner rather than later. I mean, what do you think about the Hype Bros splitting up? Do you think this is going to be good for either one of the guys? I mean, I'm not a big fan of either of them, to be honest with you, but
I mean, Zack Ryder's got the most potential. I think the best thing here would be bringing Zack Ryder's girlfriend, Chelsea Green, from Impact, and so we can see her more. At the Bound for Glory, I got to see her up close and personal. She was in the crowd, kind of pulling a little gimmick going on. She was in the crowd for one match, and then in the crowd for another match, acting very drunk. Her gimmick in TNA, if you have her, Impact Wrestling, if you haven't noticed, is like she has lipstick all over her face. She's ridiculous looking, and then she went in the ring and ended up getting like thrown through a table by Abyss. And so that's her gimmick. So bring her over to WWE just so we can look at her because she's gorgeous. That's the best thing Zack Ryder's got going for him in his life, in his career, and everything that Zack Ryder has going for him. Period.
So we're not jumping on the Mojo Rawley bandwagon because he's a big.
I've never been on the Mojo Rawley bandwagon. I wasn't on it when he brought in Rob Gronkowski.
I don't think he's that good. I think he's got the right build. He's the perfect size guy, but he's not that good of an in-ring competitor.
Mojo Rawley is up there with Kalisto and Sin Cara and all and R-Truth, where like he's for kids. Kids love that kind of colorful cartoon character, and to the actual pro wrestling fans, no, we just kind of we just turn off. Yeah, the reason, I mean, Kalisto, Sin Cara. I mean, I talk with kids all the time under the age of 10 years old, and they love those guys. I mean, that they couldn't go a house show without him. Mojo Rawley must be a superstar at the house shows.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, to a wrestling fan, he just never clicked, and that's the thing. And that's where people, when it comes to like wrestling's fake and wrestling's scripted, how do they have wrestling awards and stuff? It's just like acting. You look at a show and you look at a movie, and you're like, that guy deserves an award. Why does he deserve an award? He just read a script. He just showed up to this movie. He read a script and he did what they asked him to do. Because a movie fan and a fan of TV shows know that it takes a certain person. You can't just go in and read a script. If you take any of the movies you'll have Tom Hanks in and you replace them with somebody else and did the same thing.
It's not Forrest Gump.
It's not Forrest Gump. So Mojo Rawley's that example. You can script the matches, you can script them to be, but it just doesn't resonate. There's just something that doesn't click.
Yeah,
and Mojo Rawley's just is that.
That's why he's useful, because he the kids love him, and you know what? That's one of the audiences that we need to meet. We got to have, because we need to have wrestling fans, kids, back in the day we were those kids. You know what I mean? You and I were those kids. Mm-hmm. We got to have those kids. Like my nephew, and it's funny you say that. He loves Kalisto. That's like his favorite wrestler. He loves Kalisto. And I mean, I showed him some Rey Mysterio stuff. He's like, "Oh, he's just like Kalisto." I'm like, "No, he's better than Kalisto." Oh, but I really like Kalisto. That's how kids are. They like the shiny things, like they're kid friendly. R-Truth, he's good. They have a niche, and that's the thing. They have a niche. That's why you're not going to. I don't think you're going to see them unemployed for a while. And for us actual wrestling fans, this can only help Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley. They were getting really stale. I'd love to see him repackaged. It was a couple years ago, WrestleMania 32. Zack Ryder won the IC belt, and everybody was excited about it. Let's get Zack Ryder kind of that push again. So we make
try something with Mojo Rawley. This wasn't working. So it doesn't hurt to try.
So we're gonna do a hashtag Make Ryder Great Again. Is that what we're doing?
Make Ryder Great Again, and just try something with Rawley or with Mojo Rawley.
What are you gonna do for him though? Is he to me? Is he? Do you think he's just a tag team specialist?
No, I that's what I'm saying. Try something with him, and then if it doesn't work, and then you can release him.
To me, it's. What do you do? Make him an enforcer? What do you do? Don't forget,
make him somebody's son. That's what they did with Jason Jordan.
Big E, formerly known as Big E Langston. he was an enforcer for Dolph Ziggler back in the day when AJ, with AJ Lee and all that. He was part of that.
Yeah.
And then look where he's come from. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think Big E was that great when he first came in. I thought he was very limited in his skills, but look how good he's become. I don't like the New Day, but I respect what they're doing. I think they're doing a great job at what their gimmick is.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with Mojo. You can do something. I mean, and I don't think it should be. No, I don't think it should be in another tag team or anything like that. I think try to do him solo on his own. Do kind of what they're trying to do with Jason Jordan right now. I don't know if it's working so much with Jason Jordan.
No, the fans hate it
because he just talks so blandly.
It's boring. Like his mic skills are boring.
He talks like a regular Joe. Like he has no wrestling personality.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He's just so bland. He's like what a lot of people hate about Bobby Lashley. I mean, that the fact that he has his name. He's Jason Jordan. Jason Jordan is the guy that works in the office in the corner that is a regular Joe that might work out because it's good for fitness and it's good, it's good for everything to do.
You know what would be really good for Jason Jordan? Paul Heyman. That would be the perfect guy for Jason Jordan. You know why? Because Jason Jordan can't talk, but he can wrestle.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Paul Heyman.
He's got to get an edge to him too. I think
I think this whole thing with the Triple H deal, it showed a little bit, not much, but a little bit. I really think he needs a guy like Paul Heyman. He needs a mouthpiece. I mean, you watch NXT not as much as I do, but I follow NXT pretty closely. And the Authors of Pain, Paul Ellering, he's the perfect mouthpiece for those guys. They don't even speak. They go in and destroy people. So I think if Jason Jordan can have a little bit of that edge, work on it, this whole thing with Kurt Angle and Triple H, this little triangle, so to speak, because I think Jason Jordan's still inserting himself in that triangle a little bit, at least from what I've seen. Maybe this can help, push him over the edge. But I think, to me, he needs somebody that's a good mouthpiece.
I mean, anything can hurt. And Mojo, man, you know what? Forget Jason Jordan. Give Mojo to Paul Heyman. He's got a bigger build.
Yeah, WWE likes the big guys. And
have Paul Heyman have a Raw guy and a SmackDown guy.
Yeah, but don't you think I think Jason Jordan has a better physique than Mojo Rawley.
But he's a bigger dude.
Yeah, I get that.
That's the problem. Jason Jordan's got a nice physique, but he doesn't have anything that stands out. He's just like a plain looking.
He's a regular Joe that works out.
He's not like a Mojo who's a bigger dude. Jason Jordan's more of the lean athlete.
I want to see more of that personality.
Track star.
I want to see more of the personality because I think Jason Jordan. And when
I want to see less of the personality because he has no personality.
I want to. Yeah, but I think
I want to see a different personality.
I want to see him. I feel like he's still in his shell a little bit. I think he needs to just cut loose a little bit. I'll tell you right now. You know who's cut loose from that? From that old group, American Alpha, formerly known as Chad Gable. Fantastic, by the way. I think
Chad Gable. I think is doing much better with
which we already figured anyways. We talked about that when they made the move, and he was when Jason Jordan was Kurt Angle's son. It's like, oh, they're really making a push, but they're pushing the wrong guy. You know what I mean? Because Chad Gable, to me, he's got everything except for size. That's the only thing he does not have. He's not a big opposing guy. He's good on the mic. I think he's pretty good on the mic. I don't think he's the best mic worker, but I think he's pretty good. When he was spitting like those little raps with him and Shelton Benjamin with the Usos, I thought that was cool. He's a hell of an in-ring competitor. He has a great background in amateur wrestling. So to me, Chad Gable, the sky's the limit. And I like this Benjamin and Gable thing. I think I didn't like the fact that New Day won. I wasn't a fan of that. The SmackDown tag team division is it's not bad right now. You got the Bludgeon Brothers kind of in the background, but you have the Usos, the New Day, and you got Benjamin and Gable. I think we're going to see some good tag team matches going forward on SmackDown. I think the tag team division over there is better.
Something good planned for Clash of Champions. I'm assuming that the championship will be on the line at Clash of Champions.
I would hope so.
Pay-per-view. In fact, I'm kind of curious. There's got to be a lot of non-championship matches at this pay-per-view, seeing it's SmackDown exclusive, and they have the tag team. What do they? Do they have the IC? They don't have the IC. That's Roman Reigns has got the IC.
Yeah, he Raw and then U.S. titles on SmackDown.
Who's the U.S. champion right now? I know that.
U.S. title is Baron Corbin.
Baron Corbin.
Yeah. So
what are you gonna Baron Corbin versus Kalisto? You're gonna tag. That's 4 matches. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of non-championship
to our listeners out there.
Champions.
Baron Corbin's been pretty forgettable lately as United States champion. So don't mind Jared. I had to think about it for a second.
Matches against like Kalisto and
stuff. I know they're wasting him. Baron Corbin's a good wrestler.
They had him face the Miz, and that was still even kind of forgotten about afterwards because it was all everything about the Miz right after.
Maybe Baron Corbin and Mojo Rawley can start something.
Oh, that would be the odd couple.
That'd be cool. I think maybe it's good
That
for
would
Mojo.
definitely be a very odd couple.
I'd
Mojo
check it out just to
Rawley
see.
and Baron Corbin. I would check it out.
It'd be two total opposite personalities. Absolutely. I mean,
don't-
and here's the best part. They both played in the NFL. That's the best part. Baron Corbin and Mojo Rawley both played in the NFL.
See, I did not know that about Baron Corbin. I knew that about Mojo, but
Yeah, Baron
would
Corbin.
definitely be-
I want to say Mojo played for, and they didn't play. I don't think they appeared in NFL games. They were
Yeah.
like in the practice squad. It was. I want to say Baron Corbin. You fact checkers out there can check this out. Baron Corbin, I think, was on the Arizona Cardinals, and I think Mojo was on the Packers. If I'm not mistaken, our listeners can go.
I know Roman Reigns was on the Edmonton Eskimos, but that's for
Well, he was on the Vikings too.
He was on the Vikings, but he actually played a full season for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Yes.
The Vikings he did not do much with.
And actually, and it's not to get too far, but Roman Reigns is actually a good friend of Megatron Calvin Johnson, one of the great receivers of.
And
all
Mojo
time.
is a friend of what's his name? Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, I never. Who is that guy? Does he do the thing called the Gronk? Is that Gronk's bike? Yeah, that's right. That's right.
When we return, we're going to have our Twitter question of the week and our tweets of the week as you're listening to the Heel to Face podcast on Sports War Radio, Rat Pack Radio, iTunes, and now on YouTube.
The New York Jets are rising and are ready to compete in the AFC. Boyd Green and Ty Butler will give you everything you need to know about the Jets every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. From reviewing the previous game and looking ahead to the next matchup, to all of the news and its 4 downs, the Jet Zone has everything. Follow at BoydGreen25 and at Ty D. Butler on Twitter. Proud member of Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
This program is simulcast on WRPR Rat Pack Radio. Go to ratpacksports.com for more information.
Do you want to stay up to date on the latest sports news? Come check out After the Whistle from 4 to 5 p.m. every Friday night. We talk about the NHL, we talk about the NFL, we talk about the MLB. You name it, we got it. Tune in on Sports War Radio.
Now is the time to get your voice heard. Sports War Radio is now accepting applications for driven and knowledgeable sports fans who want to start their very own podcast about their favorite team. Sports War Radio has an international audience and is growing fast. Don't miss the chance to become the go-to news source for your favorite team. Email sportswarradio@gmail.com and tell us why you would be a great addition to our team. Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
Now is the time to get your voice heard. Sports War Radio is now accepting applications for driven and knowledgeable sports fans who want to start their very own podcast about their favorite team. Sports War Radio has an international audience and is growing fast. Don't miss the chance to become the go-to news source for your favorite team. Email sportswarradio@gmail.com and tell us why you would be a great addition to our team. Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
Let's get back to the action. This is the Heel to the Face podcast on Sports War Radio.
Heel to the Face podcast back on the air. It is time for our Twitter question of the week. Our Twitter question of the week actually got some interesting responses. It kind of went the way that I thought it was going to go, and that was this: one more match, but for only one superstar, Daniel Bryan or Edge. You have to only pick one. 63% of our fans and listeners said Bryan, 38% said Edge. Well, if you could see one more match, and I'm not saying like one more match like with their current, like top of their game, a WrestleMania match, like a match you'd really want to see them in. Daniel Bryan or Edge?
That's easy, man. It's Bryan Danielson. Daniel Bryan. Yes, that's the guy. I mean, I'll be honest with you, wrestling was stale for a while. I'll be honest. I watched it, but I wasn't, to me, I was losing its luster, and then this guy, Daniel Bryan comes through, and I'm like, man, it's giving me some energy again. The Yes movement is great. I loved Edge. Don't get me wrong. I've loved Edge for many, many years. The flash photography, with Edge and Christian. I've loved Edge no matter what he was doing.
Some good. He was world champion.
Yeah, he was great. But if you're putting me on the spot, I'm going Daniel Bryan. I just think I think they're, I think you'll. I always look at it from a financial standpoint because I work in the finance world, but I think they would make more money with Daniel Bryan, just with everything where he's at right now. I think Daniel Bryan's more of a draw. So I think from a financial side of it, I think being in the financial world that I'm in, I would go Daniel Bryan because he's going to make more money anyways for the company.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me. My thing is both of these guys got the short end of the stick when it comes to the end of their careers.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they both have in common. Their careers came short, both too soon.
But Edge's is more serious than Daniel's, I think.
Yeah, no, because I keep hearing about Daniel Bryan wanting to get back in the ring. Obviously, this weekend SmackDown,
he's been cleared.
They're starting to kind of show this stuff with Shane McMahon. A lot of people are thinking maybe Shane versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania.
The only doctors that will not clear Daniel Bryan are WWE's, and that's the ones that matter. He's already gotten cleared from multiple independent doctors, but the WWE for some reason is like, we're not going to clear this guy. So guess what? This is what's going to probably happen. He either gets back on the show, as an in-ring competitor, or his contract ends next fall and he's going to be wrestling in Ring of Honor again. Mark my words. That's where I think it's going.
Yeah, no, I understand that Daniel Bryan is more likely to wrestle.
Because here's the thing, Edge can't, because Edge even said, he's like, if I take one bad bump, I'm paralyzed.
Yeah.
So for him, it's more serious. So, in their primes, I know you context it in their primes. I'm still going Daniel Bryan. Would I love to see Edge? Hell yeah, hell. Put an Edge versus Daniel Bryan. I'd freaking pay for that.
That would be a good match. Now, I'm going to throw out, we have a second question. We're not going to go the full 3 questions, but we're going to go 2 questions this week. Second question is, now, Kenny Omega was actually just revealed recently as the highest selling wrestling t-shirt in Hot Topic history. Now, how many years they've been selling wrestling t-shirts is I remember buying a Kurt Angle t-shirt in like 2006 and an ECW one, I think, about 2006.
It's been long enough.
I got a DX shirt from there. They currently sell John Cena stuff, Seth Rollins stuff. Kenny Omega, though, has outsold all of those. And the other day, wrestling personality, I don't know what to call her. I don't want to call her a wrestler because she's not. Noelle Foley, the daughter of Mick Foley, she was seen spotted. She posted wearing a Young Bucks shirt. So the reason I'm bringing up Kenny Omega, the reason I'm bringing up Young Bucks is currently Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, this whole Ring of Honor group is trying to sell out a 10,000, it's unknown what facility.
On their own dime.
They're trying to make a 10,000 seat Ring of Honor. I think the hashtag 10,000 because somebody in the wrestling world said Ring of Honor could, they're great and all, that's good, but they couldn't fill 10,000 seats. That's pretty much saying you're good and all, but don't ever compare yourself even close to WWE because you couldn't even fill an arena that's an arena. If it's called an arena, you couldn't fill it. And they're like, watch us.
And they will.
You think they will?
Yes, I do.
That's the question. Do you think they will?
I beat you before you said the yes or no part. I do think they will because they have the right names where you got Rhodes, you have Omega and Young Bucks.
But they've had those names. And outside of like a Wrestle Kingdom, which isn't a Ring of Honor event, and let's say United States, if they try to go outside the United States, that's cheating. Because they're going, that's cheating in my eyes.
We'll go to what? Go to Toronto?
I'm saying if they go to Japan.
Oh, Japan.
If they go to Japan, that's cheating.
Ball game.
Yeah, because they already have New Japan Wrestling as like a regular thing.
I think
if
in the
they
United
try
States
to go
here.
to a traditional America, they try to go to a Chicago or a Miami, and they feel, I don't know. Because they never have before. And
I think they would.
Last year, Ring of Honor had their shows at the Lakeland Center, I think it's called, in Lakeland, Florida, which is, 20 miles outside of Orlando. And it was a bigger event because when they were in Dallas, they were at the Hyatt Hotel, which they filled. But again, that's like the event center at the Hyatt Hotel versus the Lakeland Center, which is a considerable arena. It's somewhere that WWE goes for house shows. It fits about 5,000-6,000 people. There's hockey, basketball, whatever they do there.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't ever fill it. Came close, but it was never sold out. And that's their big event. They got all the people in town already for WrestleMania. They had the Young Bucks versus the Hardys for their main event, and they couldn't fill that. They came close, and they had a great crowd. Don't get me wrong, like 5,000 people for an indie show.
But that was WrestleMania weekend, wasn't it?
I mean, it wasn't against WrestleMania, so if anything, it should have helped because I think a lot of their attendance gets boosted WrestleMania weekend because you have people in there who want to do all this wrestling stuff. So, like, for example, I'm not looking at the Ring of Honor calendar of like, oh, when am I going to see Ring of Honor? But I always look at where they're going to be when they're in town for WrestleMania because I'm going to be in town when they're there.
You'll double dip, so to speak. I got you. I understand it. But here's my thing. I don't think they're going to try to ride the coattails of WWE because you know what? They know that that's what people are going to say. If, oh, you guys got 10,000 because, WrestleMania
like
is
go
in
out
town.
like Royal Rumble weekend and show up to Philly or something?
Yeah,
And try to like go somewhere else like the night NXT's not running a show?
I would do something where it's on a weekend where it's not a WWE pay-per-view. Maybe they're in a house show in Central New York. I don't know. I think because of the marquee names that are out there that are outside of WWE at this point, maybe a CM Punk, maybe somebody along those lines. I mean, Jack Swagger. I mean, I know he's not the marquee name, but he's got people care about Jack Swagger. I mean, hell, I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch.
If they start bringing out names, then again, that's cheating too. Because the thing is, Ring of Honor at its core.
Yeah, but why?
At Ring of Honor's core, not bringing in Hulk Hogan, not bringing in anyone that's got a WWE title.
CM Punk was a former Ring of Honor guy. He's an alum. You bring some alumni back.
But if you do that to draw 10,000 people, then that's showing that you can't draw 10,000 on a regular basis.
I think that still counts.
You're just putting out a special show where you bring up all these people, and then you don't even have to be Ring of Honor. You don't have to be Cody Rhodes. Anybody can draw 10,000 people. If I advertise Hulk Hogan versus Big Show,
bring in the former alums. Why not? You sell it, because they're still Ring of Honor guys. Like, I mean, obviously you're not going to have Kevin Steen, a.k.a. Kevin Owens, do that.
I think it would still be hard to sell 10,000, but I think if they try it, I want to see them do it on their own. I want to see them put on a Ring of Honor show, one where they're amplifying and they're showing off their own talent. They're not bringing in like an indie show. Like an indie show has 20 guys you never heard of, and then they have former WWF guy Scotty Too Hotty, and that's what brings the people in because he's signing autographs. That's what brings people in. I want to see them sell their own guys. 2CW, an organization that was here in Syracuse, they would bring in stars, but they did great crowds when they didn't bring in any stars because people were behind them. They would obviously never get 10,000 or anything like that, but I want to see if Ring of Honor is saying we can bring 10,000, then I want to see them bring 10,000. Don't say, listen, I can beat you up, and then I'm going to bring, Hulk Hogan and CM Punk behind me. If I say I can beat you up, then I'm going to fight you.
Why not?
So if we can bring 10,000, then we means Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and the Ring of Honor stars.
They'll sell it.
If you bring in CM Punk, that's not we, that's CM Punk.
Why not? Bring them in. WWE would do the same damn thing. They would. Well, CM Punk is a former Ring of Honor alum. You can sell it.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying if in this event you're trying to show the critics, hey, we can do it, then you have to show them we can do it.
They will do it. I think they will.
I can show you, if I tell you that I'm really good at math and I can do that equation, and then I pull out a calculator, that's cheating.
Let me ask you this. So, how much would you pay for this? What do you think? What's the dollar amount? Like, I mean, just
the fact that they're trying to get 10,000 people shows you that they probably won't charge a lot because they're not going to try to push anybody out. if you're trying to, if the goal is the number, then that means you're going to let anybody come.
What would you pay?
I mean, 20, 30, 40 bucks.
I'd pay 30, 40 bucks to go see those guys. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's a 10,000 seat arena. That's some
I
good
don't
money.
think though that the dollar amount would be is the conversation piece here because again, if you're trying to break the record, you're not gonna keep people out. If the stadium's saying we're trying to break the record for the most people doing a conga line, but you got to pay $20. Well, then that kind of you're trying to get more people. If anything, this will be free because they want to bring in 10,000 people.
They could still.
They're not advertising. That we're gonna get the highest paid attendance. We're getting the highest attendance.
Even for $20 a head, that's pretty good. I don't
think they're here for a payday. They're here to like kind of prove critics wrong. I think.
Yeah,
right?
but why not make some money too while you're at it?
Because if they charge too much money, then they'll say, we would have got 10,000 people if the tickets were lower.
Yeah, but if you can sell the tickets for $20, that's reasonable. I think I would pay $20 to go see just those guys alone. Not even know that Dalton Castle's going to be there as well. You know what I mean?
So we're going to move on to tweet of the week, and my tweet of the week, I don't think it's that great, but I don't.
It's a weird week.
It's an important tweet in the sense that for some reason this got a lot of steam. It was on WrestleZone.com. It was a lot of other wrestling rumor websites, even some non-wrestling websites that said that. Now this is one of the Twitter accounts that put it out there. Ali #Raw #SmackDown Live at WWE tweets by put out breaking WWE news. There's been a lot of talk around AJ Styles retiring after WrestleMania 34. This is sad indeed. Loved watching AJ Styles. AJ Styles quoted that tweet and said, wrong. Now, and then it was put out on all these wrestling sites like AJ Styles shoots down WrestleMania rumors. I don't really think these were wrestling rumors. I think this one guy shot out, for example, if I said Undertaker's gay and I'm nobody and I have like a shitty Twitter account and I say Undertaker's gay and then Undertaker tweets, which he doesn't have a Twitter account, tweets back, no, I'm not. That's not him shooting down rumors. That's him like, why are you even acknowledging this crap?
Yeah,
so I'm
exactly.
going to say that the AJ Styles putting out this tweet that he's not retiring after WrestleMania 34 with this tweet. That's my tweet of the week because of its importance. I think AJ Styles shouldn't even acknowledged it because these rumors were just made up. There's rumors all the time in wrestling.
Here's the other thing,
what
too.
rumors that he was, because some guy said it?
Here's the other thing, too. WWE could have capitalized on it and said, AJ, don't even comment on it, and maybe build it where people don't, maybe they're making it out, so maybe he'd be in retirement. Then, oh, wait, nope, I'm not
But
retiring.
I love that all these like news sites pulled out there, like AJ Styles shoots down retirement rumors. It was one guy, literally, this goes back to like 3 weeks ago, that a prominent news source put out that John Cena was going to be the referee in the Jinder Mahal versus Brock Lesnar match because some loser who decided to put out a graphic that they want to do themselves. People put out wrestling graphics, I don't know, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on all Twitter and wrestling sites. He put out a graphic that had John Cena in a referee outfit between Brock Lesnar and Jinder Mahal. And some reputable sources like Survivor Series poster has been leaked. Like, no, it hasn't. Some guy just wrote that up. Just if I Photoshop John Cena in a poster for WrestleMania against Roman Reigns, I would love it if the Toronto Star or the LA Press or anything put out there, according to Jared Wicks, not confirmed account, but he's got the WrestleMania poster for this upcoming year. Like, so this is like one of those things. Like, he shot down rumors. The rumor, some guy just put that out there that he heard from his friend. To me, and then AJ Styles responded to it. It was like, no, that's not true.
It has no substance.
Yeah,
it really doesn't have any substance. Now,
what's your tweet of the week?
Speaking of no substance. Yeah, speaking of no substance, which there wasn't much going on this week, guys. I mean, this is to all our listeners out there. I mean, you could tweet us, at Heel to the Face and say, what did you guys miss? I didn't miss a whole lot. I mean, I watched the show and I
didn't get tickets to Starrcade, so I didn't get to watch it.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I just heard about it and read a little bit about it, but going to my tweet of the week, it comes from one of the regulars at creative_ish, WWE Creative Humor. One of our regulars. I use them all the time, especially in weeks like this where it's kind of been bleh. But they made a good point. It says here in the tweet, long story short, we had at Ruby Riott shirts made, and they accidentally spelled it Riot with 2 T's, not one, how she's been billed since she's been in WWE. We're just pretending the name change was intentional. # merch.
I mean, that's a tweet I saw, and and that's the only answer I could. I mean, it's a joke and all, but that's the only answer I can get to why she has 2 T's in her name.
Yeah, I watched it.
I don't know.
And I was watching it. I was watching the show with my wife, and I said to her, I was like, "Yeah." And she, you know what? It's funny. She pointed out before I did. She's like, "Didn't that girl have 1 T, not 2 T's?" I'm like, "Darn, you're right. I didn't even think about that." And then I'm like, "Wait a second." So I went back and I looked at NXT really quick, and I'm like, "Yeah." And her Twitter handle has 1 T. I'm like, this is really weird. So when I saw that tweet, I'm like, that's kind of, it has to be my tweet of the week because it kind of was something I was thinking about. So that's my tweet of the week. Hopefully
maybe it has something to do with their upcoming group name. I don't know.
The Riot Squad?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
We will see, and we hope that you see with us next week on our next edition of the Heel to the Face. We'll be back at it next week in all our usual places. For Brandon A. Iceberg, Clemens, myself, Jared Wicks, this has been the Heel to the Face podcast on Sports War Radio, Rat Pack Radio, iTunes, and on YouTube.